Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in life when we must pause, reflect, and ask ourselves, am I holding on to something that's no longer serving my journey? The hardest choices often lead to the greatest clarity, and one of those choices might be letting go of someone you once held close. There are moments in life when we need to recognize the patterns that surround us, especially in our relationships. These patterns are often subtle at first, but over time they reveal truths that can no longer be ignored. One of the most telling signs that it's time to let go of someone is the persistence of unhealthy patterns. These are the cycles of harm, disrespect, or neglect that seem to repeat, no matter how much effort is put into mending or improving the situation. Unhealthy patterns often start small. Maybe a dismissive comment here or a broken promise there. At first, it may seem like something that can be overlooked or forgiven, and you might even convince yourself that things will get better. You try harder, give more, and hope that your actions will inspire change. But over time, the cracks begin to widen. The same issues resurface, the same wounds reopen, and the same disappointments pile up. You find yourself caught in a loop, reliving the same pain over and over again. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a sign. When someone consistently shows a lack of respect for your boundaries, your feelings, or your needs, it's an indication that the relationship is out of balance. Respect is the foundation of any healthy connection, and without it, the bond becomes fragile and unsustainable. Disrespect might manifest as harsh words, dismissive attitudes, or even actions that undermine your confidence and sense of self-worth. These behaviors can erode the trust and safety that relationships are meant to provide. Neglect is another form of harm that can be just as damaging. It might not be as obvious as outright disrespect, but it leaves its mark nonetheless. Neglect shows up as emotional unavailability, indifference, or a lack of effort in maintaining the relationship. You may find yourself giving more than you're receiving, constantly trying to keep the connection alive, while the other person seems distant or uninterested. Over time, this imbalance can leave you feeling depleted and unfulfilled. The truth is, unhealthy patterns don't change unless both people involved are committed to growth and transformation. It's not something you can fix on your own. If the other person is unwilling or unable to acknowledge their role in the cycle, the dynamic will remain the same. No matter how much love, patience, or understanding you offer, it won't be enough to break the pattern unless there is mutual accountability and effort. Recognizing these patterns requires courage. It means being honest with yourself about what you're experiencing and refusing to make excuses for behavior that diminishes your well-being. It means acknowledging that staying in a situation where harm, disrespect, or neglect is a constant reality is not a reflection of love. It's a reflection of fear. Fear of letting go, fear of the unknown, or fear of being alone. But here's the truth. Walking away from unhealthy patterns is not an act of giving up. It's an act of self-respect. It's choosing to prioritize your own peace, growth, and happiness. It's recognizing that you deserve relationships that are rooted in mutual care, understanding, and respect. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to break free from what no longer serves you. It's not easy to step away from someone you've invested in, someone you care about deeply, but staying in a cycle of harm, disrespect, or neglect will only continue to weigh you down. Trust that by releasing what's unhealthy, you're making space for something better, something that aligns with the person you're becoming and the life you're meant to live. Unhealthy patterns persist only when we allow them to. The power to break free is within you. Listen to the signs, honor your worth, and take the steps necessary to move forward. You have the strength to choose a path that leads to healing, wholeness, and a brighter future. Peace is one of the most profound indicators of whether a relationship is contributing positively to your life or creating unnecessary turbulence. When peace is absent, it's as though a gentle yet persistent whisper is telling you to take notice. Relationships are meant to enrich our lives, bringing comfort, support, and understanding. When they instead disrupt your emotional or spiritual well-being, it may be a sign that something essential is missing. The absence of peace often manifests as a constant feeling of unease or tension. You may find yourself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or appease the other person. Conversations might leave you drained rather than uplifted. You could feel anxious or stressed, even when there's no obvious reason for it. This persistent lack of calm is not something to dismiss or downplay. It's a signal that your inner balance is being compromised. Emotional peace is vital for your overall well-being. It allows you to approach life with clarity, resilience, and a sense of fulfillment. When someone's actions or presence disrupts that peace, it can take a toll on your mental and emotional health. You may find yourself second-guessing your decisions, questioning your worth, or feeling trapped in a cycle of negativity. These are not conditions in which love, growth, or joy can thrive. Spiritual peace is equally important. It's the sense of alignment you feel with your purpose, values, and beliefs. When a relationship challenges that peace, it can pull you away from who you are at your core. You might find yourself compromising on things that matter deeply to you, or feeling disconnected from your faith, purpose, or inner truth. The weight of that disconnection can be profound, leaving you feeling lost or adrift. Peace should not be something you have to fight for in a relationship. It's a natural byproduct of a healthy connection, one where both people respect, support, and uplift each other. When peace is absent, it's often because the relationship is out of alignment with your path. Perhaps there are unresolved conflicts, incompatible values, or unmet needs that create a sense of discord. Whatever the reason, the lack of peace is a sign that the relationship is no longer serving your highest good. It's important to acknowledge that peace doesn't mean the absence of challenges. Every relationship will face difficulties at times. However, even in the midst of struggles, there should still be an underlying sense of safety, trust, and mutual respect. When those elements are missing and the relationship becomes a source of constant turmoil, it's a clear indication that something needs to change. Letting go of a relationship that disrupts your peace is not an act of failure, it's an act of self-preservation. It's a recognition that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and staying in an environment that drains you will only leave you depleted. Walking away from such a connection is not a rejection of the other person. It's an affirmation of your commitment to your own well-being. Choosing peace may mean making difficult decisions. It may mean setting boundaries, stepping back, or even walking away entirely. These choices are not easy, but they are necessary for your growth and healing. When you prioritize your peace, you open the door to relationships that align with your values, support your journey, and bring true joy into your life. In the end, peace is a gift you owe to yourself. It's not selfish to protect it, it's essential. Listen to what your heart and spirit are telling you. If peace is absent, it may be time to step away and trust that by doing so, you're creating space for something far more fulfilling. You deserve to live in harmony with yourself and with those around you. Never settle for less than the peace your soul craves. Growth is a fundamental part of life. It is through growth that we discover new strengths, reach new heights, and fulfill the potential we're meant to achieve. Relationships should be a source of encouragement and support in that journey. However, when growth becomes stagnant, when staying with someone starts to hinder your progress or pull you away from your purpose, it is a signal that deserves your attention. Stagnation in a relationship can feel like being trapped in quicksand. You're not moving forward, yet you're expending energy trying to maintain the connection. Over time, this static state can begin to weigh on you, leaving you feeling stuck, uninspired, or disconnected from the person you aspire to become. This isn't how relationships are meant to function. They should be a place where you and the other person grow individually and together, not a place where potential is stifled. Sometimes the stagnation comes from an imbalance in the relationship. One person may be content with the way things are, while the other feels a deep desire for more growth, more purpose, or more fulfillment. If your ambitions or dreams feel consistently unsupported, or if you sense that pursuing them might create conflict, it's a sign that the relationship may no longer align with your path. True partnerships should inspire each person to become the best version of themselves, not make them feel guilty for seeking progress. Another sign of stagnation is when your purpose becomes blurred or distant. Perhaps you once had a clear sense of who you were and where you were headed, but over time the relationship has caused that clarity to fade. You might feel as though you're losing touch with your values, passions, or sense of identity, because the connection demands you to compromise more than is healthy. While compromise is an essential part of any relationship, it should never come at the cost of your core self. Stagnation can also be a product of repeated efforts to grow together, being met with resistance. Growth in relationships requires vulnerability, communication, and a willingness to address challenges. If the other person resists these efforts or refuses to acknowledge areas where change is needed, the relationship will remain stuck in place. This resistance can create a cycle where you invest energy trying to create forward momentum, only to be met with the same immovable barriers. It's important to recognize that personal growth is not selfish, it's necessary. When a relationship holds you back from pursuing opportunities, developing new skills, or exploring your passions, it is not serving your highest good. You are meant to evolve, and those who truly care about you will celebrate your growth rather than feel threatened by it. Reassessing a stagnant relationship doesn't mean you have to give up immediately. It's an opportunity to have honest conversations and evaluate whether both parties are willing to commit to the changes needed for growth. However, if it becomes clear that the other person is unwilling to meet you halfway, you may need to consider whether holding on is worth sacrificing your potential, not just your desire for what you wish, but your potential too. Walking away from someone who hinders your growth is one of the most courageous decisions you can make. It's a declaration that your future is worth fighting for, even if it means letting go of something familiar. Remember, you are not leaving someone behind out of bitterness or resentment. You are choosing to honor the person you are becoming and the purpose you are meant to fulfill. Life is a journey of constant evolution, and the people you surround yourself with should encourage and support that process. If staying with someone leaves you feeling stagnant, small, or disconnected from your path, it's time to trust that moving forward is the right choice. Growth is not optional, it's essential to living a life that reflects your true potential. Let nothing and no one hold you back from becoming all that you were created to be. Life is full of doors, some open, some closed, and others that we knock on endlessly, hoping they'll swing wide. But what happens when the door refuses to budge? No matter how much effort we put in, closed doors are often a sign, a subtle or not so subtle nudge, guiding us toward a different path. When obstacles repeatedly arise or circumstances redirect you, it may be time to recognize that holding on is not what's best for you. Closed doors don't always look like failure at first. Sometimes they appear as opportunities that never quite work out, as plans that repeatedly fall apart, or as relationships that seem to face insurmountable challenges at every turn. These obstacles can feel frustrating and even disheartening, but they may carry a deeper meaning. Consistent challenges often indicate that something in the situation is not aligned with your purpose or well-being. It's not about giving up, but about letting go of what is no longer meant for you. When we experience divine redirections, they can feel confusing or even painful in the moment. You may wonder why something you've invested so much time, energy, and love into isn't succeeding. But these redirections are often a form of protection, gently steering you away from a path that could lead to more pain or stagnation. They are reminders that life has something better in store, even if it's hard to see it right now. The closed door is not rejection, it's redirection. It's natural to want to force things to work, especially in relationships. You might find yourself trying harder, sacrificing more, or making excuses for why things aren't improving. But if you find yourself constantly pushing against a door that won't open, it's worth considering whether that energy could be better spent elsewhere. Sometimes, the harder we try to hold on, the more we delay the blessings that come from moving forward. Closed doors also offer clarity, though it may not feel that way immediately. When a situation doesn't work out despite your best efforts, it's an opportunity to pause and reflect. What lessons can you take from the experience? What patterns or behaviors are being highlighted? Often what feels like an ending is actually a beginning in disguise, a chance to realign with your values, rediscover your purpose, and step into a season of growth. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care or that your efforts were in vain. It means you're choosing to trust the process, to believe that the obstacles you're facing are not random but intentional. Closed doors create space for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and greater alignment with who you're meant to be. They allow you to release what's weighing you down and embrace what lifts you up. It's important to remember that not every door is meant to stay open forever. Some connections, no matter how meaningful they once were, are only meant to be part of your journey for a season. When that season comes to an end, it's not a loss, it's a transition. It's a chance to honor what the relationship taught you and to move forward with gratitude for the role it played in your life. Walking away from a closed door requires faith. Faith that the unknown is worth stepping into. Faith that your path is unfolding exactly as it should. And faith that the obstacles you've faced are not there to punish you, but to guide you. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that by releasing what no longer serves you, you're making room for something far greater than you could have imagined. Closed doors are not the end of your story. They're the beginning of a new chapter. Step forward with confidence, knowing that every no is leading you to a better yes. Let go of what wasn't meant to be and embrace the possibilities that lie ahead. You are being guided toward a brighter, more fulfilling future, one that aligns perfectly with your purpose. In life, there comes a time to recognize the signs that it's time to let go. Whether it's unhealthy patterns, the absence of peace, stagnated growth, or consistent closed doors, each serves as a signal that holding on may no longer serve your well-being or purpose. Letting go is not a sign of failure, but an act of courage and self-respect. Trust that by releasing what no longer aligns with you, you're making space for healing, growth, and greater opportunities. Embrace the journey ahead with faith, knowing that every ending leads to a new and better beginning.